Hi everyone! Boy, I bet that was fun to see. Welcome to Facebook Live. Welcome to my new setup. My husband was hard at work this last week doing some super tech stuff, and if you could see me you'd probably laugh because I've got cameras and tripods and all sorts of stuff, but he got me all technied up, so I feel kind of special. Hopefully it's working okay. I'm just gonna check on my phone real quick. Make sure it's coming through. Looks like it is. Yeah, it is. Sweet. So, hi. Happy Wednesday. You're halfway through the week. Thank you for joining me. It's been super interesting week. I really think that last week when I did projects with all the snow and stuff that I jinxed the weather, so I apologize for that. Totally unintentional, but we are back to hot and humid here lately, so that's fun. Except not. Anyway, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I'm super excited about the projects that I have here. Just a couple quick reminders. Actually, no, not reminders, but a new thing that I want to say is that today with my hostess code, you're going to be able to earn the make and take kit for all 3 projects that I'm doing. That's right, 3. All 3 projects that I'm doing for free. This will be with a $30 or more purchase. You will be able to earn these make and takes for free. Kind of what that make and take is basically everything is pre-cut, pre-scored, pre-punched, which will be a key factor in today. There's only one project where I can't pre-punch it for you, and you'll see why. But yeah, everything is pre-die cut, just good stuff. Basically the only thing that you need is ink and stamps and adhesives. So without further ado, I'm going to show you our projects for today and get started. And no more camera dance parties. Don't make that stop you from having an actual dance party though. But no more camera dance parties, hopefully no shaking, no flipping and dancing. Sorry you can't see my view anymore, but ready, steady, go. Oh, wasn't that cool? Okay, so welcome. I am super crazy excited. So today I am focusing on our beautiful buffalo check stamp set, and I'm just going to set this over here so that I can see comments as they come in. Okay, so yeah, it looks like I got it. All right, so I'm super excited. Got the buffalo check thing, and we are going to do 3 different projects today. They're each featuring a different punch set. I just wanted to kind of show you some of the fun things we can do. So our first one, so this is our background stamp set, and I actually keep this mounted on a Stamparatus plate because I have found that using the Stamparatus is actually the best way to what's the word? To stamp it. Hello, what do we do for a living? Okay, yeah, so I found that this is the best way to just kind of get it a good even pressure. Again, I keep it mounted on a plate, and also one of the benefits about this is that not only is it easy storing, but when it gets dirty, I can just run it under water real quick, and I'm actually going to show you that little hack that I've done. I can run it under water real quick and it just washes right off since our inks are dye-based. So I am going to close this back up. So for our first project, our lovely little blue apple, I thought about doing a green apple. I really did, but as you can see, I decided against it. I really like the green background better. For some reason, it just really stuck out to me. So on this project, I am going to start with a Whisper White thick card base, and this is 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4. And again, when you get, this is basically what your make and takes will look like. You'll be getting all this, plus your scrap for your paper, and you get a yard of each ribbon that I use today, which is plenty for the projects plus some. Okay, anyway, back to that. So I've got a card base. I'm just going to keep that off to the side since it is Whisper White. I just want to make sure it stays Whisper White. And I don't do this often, but I'm going to run a baby wipe over this real quick just to make sure that it's fresh. I honestly don't remember when I last cleaned it. Look at that. It wasn't. Shame on me. That's naughty. Okay, so what I did for my buffalo check background stamp, since it does take up a whole piece of paper, or at least I pretty much always desire it to take up a whole piece of paper, is that I kind of created this little template, and it is the laziest, how do I put this without totally trashing myself? It is the laziest, hi Marianne, thank you for watching. It's the laziest template I've ever done, but oh well. So since it takes up the whole piece of paper, I can't put the magnets that the Stamparatus comes on the corners to hold it down because I want my ink to cover everything. Now I could cut a bigger than usual piece, but I like doing it this way. It's really not, I mean, what does my husband say? 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. It's really no big deal. So I keep it mounted down, and then I just make sure that it actually covers it. So we are going to take and stamp some Night of Navy. I'm just going to set this off to the side for a second. And please don't forget, while I'm talking, please don't forget to share. I'm going to show you actually what I'm doing. Share this video and it will enter you in to win the projects that we are doing today. I will draw for that winner next week. I'll be drawing for the winner of last week's projects today. So anyway, so I'm just taking an ink pad and rubbing it all over. There are several different methods that you can ink your backgrounds to really get a good coverage. I like this method. The other method that I also really like is taking a sponge brayer and rolling it on the ink and then rolling it onto the background. And you'll see, because we're going to use this stamp and this method for all 3 projects today, so you'll see how well that works. The other thing that I do is you can see that my Stamparatus plate is fully level. It's not angled. You probably can't tell that. Anyway, without something there, it kind of angles down. So in order to give it a good pressure and make sure it doesn't flex, I just put one of our stamp pads underneath, and then that way when I push down and I ink it, it doesn't actually flex anymore. So I'm just going to take this. Now the other thing that I sometimes do, and that I probably should have done, is sometimes, especially when I'm working with layers, I will add just something real quick on the back, some kind of adhesive to hold this there, because I know that I want a much deeper image. So I'm gonna actually do that real quick, because it looks like my Night of Navy could use a good re-inking. And I don't know if you can notice, but I still have an old style ink pad here. I'm slowly but surely replacing my ink pads. Yes, even demonstrators have to work slowly but surely. I'm just gonna rub a little bit on it. I do like the distressed look of the buffalo check. It's not meant to be totally solid, but it's definitely meant to be more solid than that. Okay, let's see. The other thing with the Stamparatus is that you really want to give it a good even pressure all around. Truthfully, I don't have the best work table, again, that did not come out right. Scratch that. Facebook Live. Okay, try this again. Oh, and the measurements for this piece, I will have all the measurements for each of my projects on my blog. And I'll put the link in the video after I get it uploaded. I was working on it and realized I didn't take individual pictures of my cards other than like me kind of holding them with my mess all around. So you really don't want to see that. So as soon as I take better pictures, which will be right after this video, I will get those uploaded. Okay, we're gonna take 2. Try this again. All right. The other thing when stamping a background stamp is to remember a couple things. First of all, it is a background. Second of all, try and think about what you are covering. That way you don't obsess too much over certain parts of it. I'm going to have to press this on my ground. I have just a folding table as my surface. We're still planning my island. Watch this. Lazy girl hack number 2. Just push. And you know what? I like that look, so I'm going to let it be. See how there are a few more solid ones? That is kind of what you're aiming for. You're not really aiming for as distressed, but for some weird reason, because it's Facebook Live, it's not working with me today. That's actually better. Okay. Jeez. All right, Knight of Navy. You're retired. Get out of here. You are out of here. Okay. I'm just going to put this down. Oh, and I keep a scrap piece underneath this because first of all, it helps my little template with placing so that I know that I can put my piece of paper right here. When I do my backgrounds, they're usually the same size, which is 5 1/4 by 4. So I know that I can place it right in this opening and still get my background pattern on everything. So that's why I have that. Okay, so just gonna set that off to the side to dry. And then we are using the Harvest Hellos stamp set today. I love this cute little apple. And we're gonna use the apple and the stem and the leaf. And rub my embossing buddy all over it. Now we don't sell the embossing buddy anymore, but you can get it pretty much at any craft store all over the town. And I'll have to do my heat gun off camera just because my electrical outlet is back there. So I am going to take, this is Knight of Navy cardstock. I'm going to stamp, oh look at that, I stamped the pumpkin. Why didn't you guys tell me I was doing the pumpkin? Let's try that again. Let's grab the apple this time. Oh, I am killing it today. Killing it. Killing it. Just do that over here. That's okay, because actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to still use this punch. Watch this. But what I want to do with this is I want to actually line up my stamps on a bigger block. So I'm going to show you an accidental tip. So when you have a builder punch like this and it punches all 3 shapes at once and you know that you want to do those shapes, kind of create a little template for yourself. I'm going to place that stamp in there. I really didn't. Maybe I should have, but no, I meant to do the apple, Mary. Nope, no blue pumpkins. Not today. Maybe tomorrow. Now that I have a blue pumpkin punched out, maybe I should. Okay. So I'm going to take that and then I'm just going to stampy stamp. So see this, they'll pick it up, and then that way when I stamp over here and then I punch it out, ideally it should all line up. So I'm going to rub this over again just to be sure. And ink up my apple, not a pumpkin. And stamp. Close that up, and then I'm going to sprinkle some white. Some white embossing powder. And just tap off the excess. And yes, it's best to go through all this before you punch it out, just because, again, lining up the stamped image with your punch is kind of a little bit hard. So if I were to take my accidental punch, and where did I put my apple? All this organization and I can't see things in front of me. Okay, so if I were to take my apple, it would probably be lined up, if you can see that, if I tried it again. But it's always best because then you get that even cutout around when you punch. So I am going to take this off to the side and heat set for a minute. My heat tool. Okay, so the embossing powder set it. It's really nice. It kind of looks just like wet paint. And my camera doesn't autofocus, but I'm sure you can see that pretty well, that when it sets it looks like a wet paint. It's kind of glossy looking. So that's how you know when it goes from the powder to actually being heat set. Okay, so now I'm going to put it in, and voila! Now half of my leaf is going to be hidden, so I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care totally that it doesn't completely line up, but my hack only somewhat worked, but that's okay. I care most about the apple, so I'm going to make sure that the apple is totally, woohoo! It's a party. Alrighty, so I've got that part. Get all my excess here out of the way. Got my apple, my stem, my leaf. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take that same piece of Night of Navy, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment, which is from Best Year. I want to use the thank you for all that you are. I was thinking that this would make a cute little kind of teacher slash mentor slash just everything. I really was thinking more teachers this time of year. Tutors, I just feel like there are a lot of people obviously doing so much for our children right now, especially with school starting, and so many people have had to really redesign their lives, and so that's kind of where I was going with this card, in case you wanted that whole story. So let's see. So I'm going to rub this on again. Literally stamping with Versamark. Get our Stampin' out of the way so that we can assemble. And because of us cutting this out, it doesn't have to be super, what's the word, super straight. I'm going to be cutting all around it in a slight fussy cut, so it works. I'm not going to be particular. Sprinkle this on, heat set again. And again, I apologize that I have to do this off camera. The idea is that when we finally build out the studio to somewhat 100%, that I will have an outlet in my work area. But for now, it's off to the side. Okay, second time always goes much faster than the first. And I am going to close my embossing powder, because if that spills open, that is a disaster. Okay, we are pretty much ready to assemble. So what I'm going to do is, taking a pair of scissors, and I'm not using my really good paper snips for this, just because I want those paper snips to be still very sharp and precise. So I'm just taking my scissors. You can also just use a distressing tool and just literally destroying the sides of this. I want to give it a nice distressed look. I want it to just kind of almost be like paper. I don't know quite how to describe it. I just like the distressed look. I thought about adding in some, some sponging, distressing, but I passed on it. Oh, and then there's one more thing that I did to kind of soften it, I guess. I'll show you that as soon as I'm done shredding. So I'm just going to take this, and every now and then I'm kind of forcing the blade in. There is a nice little round tool meant for distressing that you can get from another company. Can't remember at the moment who it is. You can just find it online, but I don't have it yet. So scissors as it is, and as you can see, scissors works just fine. The round tool is just nice because it's like a swing, and that's it. Okay, get my dust, pixie dust, pixie crafting dust. Glitter is the pixie dust of the crafting world. Okay, so what I kind of did out of experimenting to lighten this up is I actually kind of just tapped my embossing buddy on this a little bit. Again, I was really going for that distressed look, so I didn't mind how the image stamped. I'm just going to kind of rough that up a little bit more. And then I'm going to take these two ribbons. I have the Whisper White Polka Dot tool, and then I have the Night of Navy one that is from the Playing with Patterns combo pack, and it comes with a combo of 3. So I'm just going to take these and pair them up, and I like putting my blue on the inside that makes sense, when I pair up. Or I guess I should say I like putting my solid on the inside. So I'm going to put it over my card like this. And normally I tie my bows to the right, but today for this card I got a little funny. I got a little crazy, and oh no, we went to the left. So I'm just going to tie a bow. Easier said than done. So I'm just kind of tying it right in the middle there. My apple and my sentiment are just going to hang off to the side there. I love this tulle ribbon. It's super, super pretty, but I have found that it's a little bit hard to work with for bows. I really don't use it often for bows because of that, let alone with layering with other ribbons, because the tulle gets caught on itself and doesn't really pull that easily. But when it does, when it works, when it comes out, it's just super, super pretty. It gives just the right touch to your bow and to projects, I feel like. So I'm just going to work this a little bit. See, it just doesn't slide too well. And I want to just kind of make sure with my apple that that works and that works. So just going to, no, not with those. These. Okay, so that is kind of my base, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to mount it. I know, Marianne. I'm so glad I'm not the only one that kind of has a issue with tying it, but yeah, I'm in love with using it for bows, but I tell you what, it is something else. I think I used it on a swap this summer or springish, and I was just, oh man, tying all those bows was crazy. So one of the reasons why I made this sheet of paper this size, it's smaller than your typical first layer, your traditional first layer, I guess I should say, is because originally I thought about putting this sideways and still sticking it into the card bases. So again, that's 3 3/4 by 5. But in the end, I decided straight on because that's how I roll. So I'm going to use, because I have a little bit of ribbon and because it's my main layer, I'm just going to put some Stampin' Seal Plus, the super strong one. And again, it doesn't require that much adhesive. I'm just crazy and I put everything on. I'm just going to lay this down. And then I'm going to take my apple and use some dimensionals. And put those on there. No saggy bits. And I'm leaving that middle part open because I want my stem to tuck in there, so I don't want to block the area where it needs to adhere. I'm just going to put this on here, like so. And then my little stem, I'm going to use a glue dot. I really like cards like this where, oh, you know what? Is that the right end for an apple? I always get it mixed up. So I don't know. I don't know if you noticed, but so this is the right end for an apple to have the small end down. But when you do the pumpkin, you're actually going to want the small end up because of the pumpkin stem. But the apple stem goes like this. And I can't tell you how many times I've messed that up. Okay, so I'm just going to tuck that in here. And I want the stem and the leaf flatter than the actual, let's see, I think since my leaf punched out a little weird, I'm just going to put it like this. You want it flatter than the actual apple, kind of give it that, work with that dimension there. So there's that. And then I'm going to take my sentiment and kind of fussy cut-ish around it. And then this is a super pretty kind of technique to make your sentiment stand out with always having to make it square. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of curve around with the letters. Almost make it like a bubble. You don't want to go too detailed into each curve and each little line, but you just kind of give it a nice pretty silhouette-ish kind of deal. When we first moved out here to Ohio, I had to obviously set up a few of my doctors, and in case you don't know, I'm type 1 diabetic, and so when I was meeting with my new doctor out here, he was giving me such a hard time because I answered almost every single question of his with an ish. You know, how are you feeling? Okay-ish. How is this? Okay-ish. How are you controlling it? Yeah-ish. Yeah, I'm good-ish. with my carbs, with my sugar, with my whatever, it's all right-ish. And so he was like, oh, you're one of those. And I just had to kind of, oh, you can't see what I'm doing. I just had to kind of laugh at him and be like, well, yeah, this is me. Welcome to me. So as you can see, when it comes to the smaller font, anyway, so me saying ish kind of made me think of that. When it comes to the smaller font, I am kind of working more with the curves of the letters, but again, I'm not trying to be too precise. I find that the less precise you are, the better this kind of technique actually, this method actually looks. Because again, you're just giving a hint of a little bubble. And then you want to curve it up. And this is often where I get stuck, because how much do you curve in? How much do you go? And I just like doing kind of a straight line up, but still keeping the curve of your cut around. If that makes sense. So it's not a hard 90-degree turn right there. It's a nice little curve. And there's your sentiment. So we're going to use dimensionals, and I like using all the bits of my dimensionals, so I'm going to just cut right about here. And with my sentiment, it's going to sit right on the tip of that apple, kind of show that apple a little bit. So I want my strip to be pretty much in the middle there. Oh, too much. Okay. And then I'm just going to pop that on. And voila, our first card is done. Isn't that pretty? See, apples can be blue too. So here's the first one, almost identical. All right, so that's card number 1. Card number 2, got a little bit funky. Oh, I want to show you how I clean my Stamparatus plate. So I'm going to, so here's my messy Night of Navy, and I'm just going to run over. Yes, I have a sink in my craft room. I'm just going to run over, rinse it, and you'll see what an easy peasy job that was. And done. And look, now we're clean. Voila, just run it underwater. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Kelly. Okay. And then I'm just using a cloth to dry it off a little bit. I don't like to use paper towels because it can disintegrate, so I just use a craft towel, as I call it. Okay, so back to our buffalo. Our second card. I love this one. I absolutely love this one. It might be one of my favorites. So our second card is going to feature some yellow buffalo check. And Thank you, Marianne. Okay, so once again we have, I'm using all Whisper White thick card bases today. It wasn't totally intentional, but it just so happened to be intentional. Oh, thanks, Aunt V. Thank you for watching too. Hi. Okay, so Whisper White thick card base. We are going to use we're going to use mint macaron for our jar, bumblebee for our flowers, and then the Tasteful Touches DSP for our background. And put that there. And then, so what I'm going to do is kind of put this off to the side, and I used the Jar of Flowers stamp set with the matching punch, and this punch is actually super cute. It's smaller than I thought it was going to be, but it's so cute. I love the tiny little jars. And then we're using our medium daisy for our flowers. And then for the flower centers, I went ahead and pre-cut them. I used to use the 1/2 inch circle punch, but I found that the little centers from the wreath builder, which is this little guy right here, the wreath builder, actually is pretty cute because it's got a little bit of like a dimensional center. And then for my banner, for this guy right here, I cut this out of Whisper White, so I have this all pre-cut for you. So this one will go pretty quick as well. As much work as it looks like it is, it's not. I promise it won't take us 5 years for that. So that's kind of a rundown, and again, I'm gonna have a list of all of the supplies that I use, and everything that I do, all the measurements and all that on my blog afterwards. Okay, so first, what I want to do is I'm going to stamp and punch my cute little jar. And again, I know it seems like, this is so tiny, how are you ever gonna get a jar there? But, well, if you open it, it'll work. But it'll work. See how tiny that is? It's so cute. Okay, so I'm going to get my jar, and I like these jars of flower stamps because the jar itself and the straw are what's called a reversible. And what you can do with it is you can stamp the detail of the little squiggles, water, distress, whatever you want to call them, on one side, and then you can flip over the stamp, mount it on your acrylic block that way, and then you also have a solid image. So that's what this is saying, is that these are your reversible ones. It's not just a place to hold, but these three with the shading are reversible. So I thought that was pretty neat. So the straw can come with stripes, or it can just come straight, which is great for like just using a solid stripe. Okay, so jar, and I'm going to stamp him with mint macaron on mint macaron. And I want my foamy foam. Since this is a photopolymer stamp, I want my foam surface underneath, and especially since my desk surface is not the greatest stamping surface. So I'm just going to stamp my cute little jar. Close this guy up because we're done with him. And then I'm going to take my punchy punch and forgive me for a minute while I position this and shove it away from you. So I've got my little jar in there, and I'm just going to punch. And he's all done. And then what I did is I took these crystal shimmer effects, and I just kind of outlined, I'm doing this first so that I can dry while I do my flowers, but I just kind of outlined my jar to kind of give it a better glass look. Just kind of followed all the etchings, and right here. And right here. Right here. And again, not trying to be exact, but just trying to give it that glassy kind of look. And I'm not caring too much about the top because my flowers are going to hide that. This doesn't take long to dry, but it definitely should dry. So I'm just going to set that off to the side for a minute. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on my flowers. And so what I did and what I'm going to do, I'll show you here on camera, is that I need 2 flowers, two punches for each little flower bud. So all in all, I need 6 flowers. And again, this is Bumblebee cardstock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I need my little counter here. Anytime I start counting, Isabel has to finish it and go all the way to 10. It's actually super cute. So she would be like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so 6. So there's my 6 flowers. Put this off to the side. Okay. So now what I want to do is I'm going to add a little bit of some distressing, some sponging, not distressing, DIY distressing. Anyway. And I'm going to use soft suede with a sponge dauber. And maybe. Oh, there it is. And I want my scrap piece of paper underneath this because I get messy. So I'm just going to take all of my flowers and I'm going to take my soft suede and just kind of start off the paper a little bit. Just kind of rub in the center there. I'm not going to be too concerned about how the exact center looks since my my DIY centers here will cover it. But I want it to just kind of dust and fade out. The reason why I rub off for a little bit is because it can be a little bit strong in the middle at first. And now 2 of these, I was going to say I probably didn't need to bother. 2 of these, or 3 of these, the centers are going to be completely covered anyway. So if you find that, you know, some centers just aren't as pretty or whatever, if there's some colors that you like, then you can always mess with that when you're assembling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and put these together using glue dots. So I'm just going to use my take a pick tool to lift that up off. And you're going to make sure I can show you this correctly. Let's take this guy off so you can see. I love my grid paper, but I have found that for showing you videos, it can probably get a little too busy. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of stagger those petals. Whoop. Try that again. There you go. So there's one. And then there's 2. And I'm actually going to close this before I stick my hand in it. Not that that's ever happened before. And then put this here. So again, don't forget that with the purchase of $30 or more using my hostess code, you can get the make and takes for these for free, all 3 projects, and that will include your flowers, your jars, all punched out. Actually, I apologize. No. Yes. The jar and the apple will not be punched out since you need to stamp them first, and I apologize for that, but again, you need to stamp it first anyway, so Yeah, but you will get the paper to make it, and you will get all the little die cut pieces, all the frames and everything. So if you have just like another jar or another whatever, you can do it that way. And I apologize, but per Stampin' Up, we're not allowed to send out pre-stamped images. So, okay, I'm going to take my little flower centers, which again I cut out using the Wreath Builder dies. Just kind of put those on using glue dots. I had a lot of fun working on these projects this week because I discovered that I really like using punches. I love dies and I love especially the stitched effect of them, but I have really, and I saved what I feel like is the best project for last. What I really discovered that I've started to like doing is kind of more punch art and using your punches kind of in an outside the box way. So just the first two obviously were exactly how the stamp set planned them to be, but the third one I think you're really gonna like. But and in general, they're so easy. You don't have to crank it, and with the fact that I had tendonitis on this wrist this last summer, punches are my jam right now. Okay, so what we have next is we need our cute little buffalo check. I was kind of trying to make it look like a tablecloth. I hope that's how it came out, like a little picnic tablecloth. So I am going to take a piece of missing Whisper White. Okay. Whisper White, and because it's being hidden up here, you don't really have to, I'm going to go ahead and just stamp the whole bit, but I am going to make sure that it's cut the right width. So I'm going to cut this at 4 1/4. And officially the width that gets put on my blog is, I believe it's 1 1/2. So it's 1 1/2 by 4 1/4 that way. And then we're going to take the Stamparatus. And so again, revisiting the whole template situation, because I have this template and I have this big wide open space here, I'm just going to put this guy right in the middle, because the way that the area that I really care about is this bottom 1 1/2 inch. And so if I find that maybe this if this top 1 1/2 inch stamps better, then maybe I'll just use that. It's kind of a benefit of stamping a bigger piece. Really only works when you've got the piece exactly the size of, no bigger than the size of your stamp. But your desired piece no bigger. But once you start working on full backgrounds, you just want to kind of place it in there and stamp the best. And I got a little fuzzy in here. Okay, get that out of the way. Okay, so I am using Bumblebee ink to stamp it up. To stamp it up. Oh, that was horrible. Okay, giving it a good rub around. And there we go. And I think I'm going to go ahead and go one more. I'm convinced it's because of my table today. It's either because of my table or it's because I'm live. Because as you can see, previously it stamped just fine. But I did use my floor. I went to the floor to push on my Stamparatus. It's true. Okay, so my cute little tablecloth is good to go. So again, I just want to cut a 1 1/2 inch strip from that to work on my card. Let's see if I like anything better than the rest. No. So I'm just going to do, I can't, okay. Brain was not working. 1.5. Actually, I didn't cut that very even, did I? Oh, it's measure twice, cut once. Yes, ma'am. Okay, 4.25. Okay, so this is where I want 1.5ers. Did you see what I almost did? I almost completely cut it the wrong way. That would have been horrendous. So there's my, it's 4-inch, not 4.25. I have it right on my thing. Oh, live, how you mock me. Okay. Okay. All right. 4 inches. So I am going to layer my my cute little tablecloth over the DSP. So I'm just going to use Stampin' Seal, just one quick strip at the top. And your overall size should be 4 by 5.25. You can always use kind of a template to guide you along for that. That's another reason why I like my grid paper. But I'm just kind of doing it this way. And then I'm going to close that up so you don't mess with it. I'm going to use the beautiful Early Espresso Faux Suede trim to kind of give it that, again, that ledge look. I'm going to use some glue dots and just adhere him onto each side. And I'm going to cover up just to make that division, that divider, a little bit prettier. And I want some down here. Whew, this room is hot in the afternoon. We're thinking about getting a ceiling fan in here. Has anybody ever done, oh, seriously, I agree, Marianne. This is the way of live. If it is live, something will go wrong. If it's not live, everything is handy dandy. Anyway, has anyone ever gotten or put up a ceiling fan in their craft space? Do you find that, like, it's just more annoying than it's worth it? I ask because that's definitely something we're considering. Because this room is roasty toasty in the afternoon. Since it faces west, the sun sets and comes over, and it's a whole disaster. Okay, anyway, so we've got pretty much everything. Oh, for my, go ahead and do this before we actually start assembling. Bring this guy over. For my cute little sign, I was kind of like, you know, just kind of thinking that this was like a cute little kitchen scene, so a little sign on the wall. So for my little signage, I am going to stamp the sentiment, and the sentiment is from that Harvest Hellos stamp set, the same one with the apples. And so this is "You Make Me Smile." I just feel like it really worked with the daisies. Yellow daisies? What are yellow daisies called? Daffodils? One of those. And then I'm actually stamping it closer to the bottom because of where my bow and the little gem will line up. So I've got that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and sponge the side with soft suede just to kind of tie in the wood look on the background. And just take this and go around like this. The wood look and also the colors from the flowers. We were walking our walking around in our lawn. Seems kind of funny to call 2 acres a lawn, but walking around in our lawn the other day, probably a week or so ago now actually, and Isabel, my little one, she's 3, she found this flower, as she called it, and she called it her snowflake. She goes, "Oh, Mommy, look, it looks like a snowflake," and she was so excited. And it was these white, beautiful ones that literally had their blooms like out in a snowflake pattern. Well, I had never seen this particular flower before, and I took pictures of it, and then I was telling my mother-in-law and my sister about it, and they were like, "Yeah, that's ragweed. It practically kills people with allergies. Like, they're just down for the count." And I just started laughing, and I said, "Well, I guess she doesn't have any allergies." My child is so in love with weeds and the flowers that come from weeds that it just cracks me up. Okay, so, sorry, back to this. So I'm using metallic pearls, the more I guess it's brass looking ones, goldish, at the very top, kind of like my little hanger. And then I'm going to use our gorgeous bumblebee gingham ribbon. Isn't that cute? Oh, I love this ribbon. And I'm just going to tie a cute little bow. So yeah, my little one, she will pick the flowering weeds all day long and like bring them in like it's the prettiest little thing she's ever seen. And so she gets really, really sad when they kind of like wilt and die away because, you know, it's a flower. Like, you got to put it in water or something. And then on top of that, it's a weed. So I'm not going to put that thing in water. Like, what do you do? And not only that, but she likes to carry it around with her when she plays, especially if she finds the weed, like right in the beginning, the flower, whatever. So it's quite comical when you hang out with her in any yard. She'll find dandelions, and she gets very excited about making a wish and blowing them. She will find, what are those yellow ones? They look like sunflowers, but they're not. They're a weed. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I don't know what it is. Anyway, she will find them. And she will just carry him around with her like it's her sweet little flower prize for being outside. I love being 3. I don't remember 3 being that much fun. Of course, I don't remember 3 at all, but I don't remember 3 being that much fun. Okay, so now that I've got my cute little bow, I'm just going to adhere that with a glue dot. Put it on a glue dot. And then take it up, put it here. All right, now we are officially ready to assemble. So again, I'm going to use our Stampin' Seal Plus, maybe. Here we go. Really? Not gonna work for me today? Thank you. Nope, it's not gonna work for me today. Worst demo ever. Okay. Demonstrator, I mean. I can't even work my own roller. Okay, so I'm going to put this on the front of my card. Cute little kitchen scenery. And then we're going to dimensional the heck out of this. So again, because I like using everything, I'm just going to cut that. This here. I don't want my jar to sag at all, so I'm just going to give a little support. And then I'm going to put my jar a little bit towards the bottom just because of how much the flowers are going to take up. And for the flowers, I use dimensionals on each one. I'm gonna use a real hoopty. Where did it go? Here it is. A real dimensional for these, just because they pretty much match the centers of the flowers really well. How are we doing on time? Oh, a little bit over. Okay, I promise this will go fast. So we're just going to, sorry, I've been trying to get 3 projects in. That's been my goal, but it's really hard to keep it in under an hour. I don't know how some people do it. Like, how do you show everything and still be under an hour? Okay, so I am putting this flower on first. Hope you guys don't mind. I mean, hopefully it's fun. Hopefully you're not like, geez, get on with it. Okay, so I've tucked the second one under, but I'm tucking the third one over. And then I'm just going to put some strips on this guy. Cha-ching, cha-ching. And ta-da! Yay, card number 2 is done. All right, so there it is. What do you think about that one? You guys like that one? I like it. I like the jar and the flower and the color. I don't know. I like it. Anyway. Sorry, guys. I told my husband that was going to happen. I touched the mouse and it switched screens on me, and that screen is like a saver, so it doesn't have audio. Anyway, so here's the third card. We are almost done, I promise. And I teased it a little bit on our graphic. This card was one of my favorites to make. I actually had my good friend Anne Marie as my what did I call you? I called it like my consultant, my sounding board, because I could not figure out at first how to do a strawberry. But I was like, what shape is a strawberry? Like, I knew how to do it, I just couldn't figure out what shape a strawberry is. Let me get all this stuff together. So for this one, I am using the Heart Punch. I'm using the Autumn Punch. This is one of 3. It comes in a pack of 3. This little leaf. Sorry, Marianne, I know. I don't know what I did. And then I'm using the Special Days dies, and I use that to cut out the little grass on the card. My arms just get in the way. I should just put the mouse somewhere else while I'm live. How about that? There. We'll just do that. That way I don't touch it. And then I'm using the stitched nested labels. I felt like the picnic needed a little bit of a fading on the gingham, so I used that nested label there. And again, all of these are pretty much pre-cut. I did save the punching for on screen and this part on screen because I want to show you how these awesome words are popped up. So these are the well-written dies, and we'll touch on those. Okay, so first what I did, and again this will go really fast because what needs to be cut is pretty much cut and all of it's punching, as I cut out 3 of our hearts from real red cardstock. Okay, and then put this over here. And then I punched out 3 leaves from Granny Apple Green. My husband called these the Canada leaves, which I guess they could be. I did try a flower blossom one that I saw an idea on Pinterest, but I just didn't really like the idea of the flower blossom. Okay, so there's our strawberries. Ta-da! Don't they look like strawberries? No. Okay. So we are going to use the Under My Umbrella stamp set, and we're going to use the little raindrops on them. But what I discovered is that strawberry seeds, oops, are actually the opposite direction of a raindrop. Strawberry seeds have the point going down. So we're going to take and stamp this guy all over. And Isabel had fun with this one too. She actually came over and made her own strawberry. She did all the stamping, and she sort of did all the punching. I had to really help her squeeze, but she's getting really good, my little love. So in early espresso, we're just going to stamp some seeds all over. And this stamp actually, this stamp, it staggers really well. And so I don't know if you can see when I do this, I can't zoom in on that camera. Another thing that my husband's working, but you can actually just line it up perfectly to kind of stagger those seeds everywhere. And kind of like with snowflakes, you know, no strawberry is seeded the same, and no strawberry is seeded exactly in a, you know, exact way. So don't stress out if your seeds aren't symmetrical and your spacing isn't symmetrical. It's nature, right? Okay, so there is that. On the original card, I embossed my strawberries with the subtle embossing folder, but after looking at it, I kind of felt like that made it look like they were old strawberries. I don't know. So I'm going to leave that actually alone. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to emboss them this time. But, so then I'm going to take my glue dots that are MIA. They ran off in the jar. Okay, here they are. And I'm going to take my leaves with my glue dots. And the leaves just go upside down on your strawberry, and you want to line up that last little, I don't know, what do you call it? That last little V, that last little punch out. I don't know what to call it. Anyway, you're just going to line up that last part there, and there's your strawberry topper. I'm going to do that with all three. One, two. And three. So if you can see the little cut, so when you have the leaf, it, oops, glued that onto my paper, not the strawberry. When you have the punch here, you want to line up this last little V, the last big, oh, there it is. You want to line up this last big guy, not the small one. Okay. Enough of that. You're like, okay, I got it. Okay. So then we are going to take our Whisper White, cut to 4 by 5 1/4, and I need to clean my background again. Give me 2 seconds. This time we are going to stamp our buffalo check in blue, and this is kind of your more, blue, Pacific Point, and this is kind of your more traditional blue, traditional gingham looking. I was inspired by my little girl's dress, and I will show you her dress in a second as soon as I find it again. where did it go? So here's a picture of her and her little dress. Isn't that cute? Little sweet little strawberries on her dress. So this is what inspired this card. So that's what inspired that one. So that's why I got the idea of the sweet gingham blue with the with strawberries. I was gonna do apples in the beginning, but again, then her dress inspired me. It's not the first time that that's happened. Okay, so we are going to take Pacific Point, and I'm going to ink up my piece of cardstock really, really well. And this time I am going to take it to my floor because I want you guys to see how this stamps on a solid surface and not a bendy folding table. One of these days we'll have the dream of the island. And there it is. See how much better that looks when you have a firm surface underneath. It really just comes out solid. You don't need to try and stamp it 4 times like I had to do on my Home Depot folding table. Okay, so this guy is done. Just gonna take this, put him away. Okay, so what I did is I put my green grass again, cut from Granny Apple Green and the Special Day dies. And I did cut it a little bit longer than it needed to be just because I wanted the freedom to mess around with my grass sprigs to see where I wanted them to end up. And I think I like that. Okay, so I'm going to just take Stampin' Seal, and this is about, you want it to be 4 inches by roughly, I think it was 1 1 1/4, 1 1/2. Again, I have those measurements on my blog as soon as I update the pictures. And then I'm just going to trim off the excess. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to position my stitched nested label here. And again, this is all not on our card base because that once I glue it down, it's done. So I'm going to position these. I just want to make sure that I have my stitched nested label over enough. And what I'm trying to do is see where my strawberries will cover so that I can put some glue dots down and adhere everything right there. And actually what I'm going to do instead of glue dots is Stampin' Seal Plus. And the reason why I'm doing this is because vellum, as you will be able to tell in a second, vellum doesn't hide your adhesive very well. So you can see it. So I don't want that showing up all over here where it's supposed to truly be clear. So I'm going to take some dimensionals, pop up my little strawberries. And I was trying to think, this is like one of the, I had an idea for this card, but I was trying to think what sentiment, what greeting could I use to kind of really portray, explain what I wanted it for. And I really didn't find one, but I don't own all the stamps, surprise. So it was kind of like, okay, well, let's use what we have. And so I decided this was going to be a birthday card. And and I like it. I really love it, but I was hoping for like a thank you, you're so sweet kind of deal. Get that pun now? But obviously that didn't work out too well. So I'm actually moving this one dimensional because this strawberry is overlapping this guy a little bit. So I want to make sure that that has room. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm moving him back over here to the middle more. So I want my dimensionals to just hit where they are laying on the buffalo check, because otherwise it'll be like a crooked, layer. It'll be uneven and just looking wonky. We don't like wonky. Ah! Runaway dimensional. Okay, so I'm gonna stick my strawberries there, and really, I really do think I like the smooth strawberries more than the embossed ones. You probably can't tell on the picture, but I'm telling you, it just kind of look like day-old strawberries. So you can see that I hit all that awesome adhesive. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my bow using the same Night of Navy ribbon from the Playing with Patterns pack, and then I want to use this real red dotted pattern from the Playful Pets ribbon combo pack. I just really love the two of these together. And yes, it kind of gave me a 4th of July feel, but that's just what red, white, and blue is meant to do, right? So I'm just going to do a bow. Bows never work on camera. Never. I thought about doing this off camera for this very reason. Doing it ahead of time off camera. So, my cat is yelling at me because the craft room door is closed. Maybe I'll let her in now that you guys can't see the door. She's not happy. This is her little kingdom. Okay, so I've got my bow. I'm just going to trim off those ends. And I'm purposely just kind of, I guess you would say, splaying? What's the word? I gotta let her in, otherwise she's just gonna keep yelling. Come on. So I wanted to purposely kind of flare those out. Go like that. And just use a glue dot to put that on, and I'm going to just nest it right into these cute little strawberries here. Okay, now for the super fun technique. I wanted my words to really pop off the card. Let me see if I can show you real quick. I'm going to switch views. Okay, so you can see that these really jump off the card. They are dimensional, but they are the die cut. So what I did is I used the foam adhesive sheets, and I'll show you the preparation for that. So I cut my strip of real red, and then I have my foam adhesive sheets, and I just put the red on. And then what I'm going to do is actually cut down this adhesive sheet, since I want to run it through my die cut. I don't want to squish those foams any more than they need to be. So I've got this. So now I've got my red and my foam ready to go. That way I don't have to worry about attaching them onto each other. You can do it that way too, if you're really trying to just save paper, but I mean, when do I know that I will find, you know, shapes galore to cut and punch out of that guy. So please pardon the hideous condition of my Big Shot. My new Stampin' Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine arrives tomorrow. So, you know, perfect timing. So I'm excited about that, and I've just kind of been, I think everyone's just been running their stuff to the limit. So I want birthday. I don't think I cut this long enough. I did not. All that work. Okay, we'll just do another one. So I've got birthday, and then I'm going to do happy, which is hiding. Where did that adhesive go? Oh, there it is, right in front of my face. I'll just do a And when I originally made this card, I did actually die cut out the red first because I didn't plan on popping it up. And then I went, you know, that just it doesn't have the effect I want. So that is another way you could do it if you just have a small piece of adhesive. Just put it onto the back of the red first. Okay, anyway, so we're going to go ahead and cut this out, and then our card will basically be done. See, look at that. No more super big dance party. I can show you big shot work. So on this one, the words will look like they're not fully cut, but they are. It's because you've got that layer of the adhesive backing. So just an FYI. You know, you can run it through again if you really need to be sure. But it's often that adhesive that's causing it to look like that. And the other good part about having the adhesive sheets is that your little dot for your eye will not disappear. I'm going to run the happy through again. That dot for the eye has a tendency to just fall out and run away. Okay, we're almost done. So I'm going to take, and when you do this, you have to pull very carefully. The again, the adhesive sheets are extremely sticky, so they kind of cause the mixture between your dies and the adhesive sheet. It's kind of, you know, it's a, what is it? Tug and pull situation. Pull and tug. Tug of war. I never get my sayings right, and it embarrasses my husband so much. It's actually fun. I'm just gonna start saying like everything wrong. Hi Gloria, sorry I just saw that comment. Hi, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. And if I had done this beforehand, you guys wouldn't have to watch me poke out all the things on my own, which I know is probably as fun as watching paint dry. My hands aren't working well today anyway. You ever just have those days where it's like the wires from your brain to your limbs are just not, they're not connected. It's not happening. They're on strike, they're sleeping, they didn't have enough coffee, all of the things. All of the things. Hey, so while I'm thinking about it, this is the first video with my new, oh, did I just, okay, I didn't. Whew, thought I threw away the dot after all that talk, with my new setup. So we would love feedback. My husband loves feedback. He loves input and whatnot. So if you can't hear me or don't like the distance, just let us know, and that way we can improve it for a better experience the next time. So I'm just going to put my birthday on the bottom. And actually, before I get too far into this, I'm going to adhere my stack to my card front, trying to eliminate squishing my card as much as possible. It disappeared. Okay. There it is. So there's that. And then I've got my happy, and I'm actually going to poke out these centers before the big part so I don't drive myself batty again. Do this. So the happy, I don't know if you remember, but the happy I ran through twice. It's still sticking in there, and honestly I feel like a big part of that is because of the foam adhesive truly sticking. You know, you've got that adhesive top and bottom, so it's just hanging on there. It just takes a little patience, but I promise you doing this is way better than trying to mess with fine tip glue or you know, I can't even imagine. Come on, little guy. Oh, the P ripped a little bit, but we can work with that. Oh, live, you mock me. Okay, come on. You're like, yeah. All right. Yeah, easy peasy, Trisha. Way to go. Okay, so I'm going to put my happy up here. Clean it up a little bit with my pointer, take a pick. And there we go, that is ready. And then to add a little shimmer, I'm just gonna kind of brush over this with some, some Wink of Stella. That is a little interesting winky. What just happened there? There we go. I'm just going to rub over that. And it looks much, much darker at first, but as the Wink of Stella dries, it pretty much clears up and just gives a nice little fun shimmer. And that is it. Oh, I forgot the dot on my eye. That darn dot. I know that a lot of people think it's probably unnecessary. You don't really need the eye. Thank you, Gloria. But it's kind of funny what just a tiny little dot will do, right? Like what that adds. So what I'm doing is I'm placing my die back over, since my dot's so small. And the hack didn't work. Of course it didn't. I'm going to use my little... Okay, there he is. There you go. Now it looks like an eye. So it is all done. And we're all done today. Yay! Thanks for sticking with me. Sorry it went a little bit long. My husband probably won't be surprised. But here are the 3 projects we did. So we made some cute little strawberries. We did a jar of flowers. And we did a sweet little blue apple. So again, your purchase of $30 or more will earn you the make and takes for these cards, all 3 of them. You'll get the punch and die cut. Everything will be pre-die cut and all that good stuff. Thank you, Kelly. So you'll be all set. And let me just kind of switch view for a second. Hi again. I'm all hot and flustered now. So again, your purchase of $30 or more will earn you these 3 make and takes. Jeez. And when also just a reminder that I have our monthly tutorial bundle. I couldn't think of it for a minute going on, and if you your purchase of $35 or more will earn you the free tutorial bundle. It's 5 demonstrators we got together. It's my Stampin' Sisters, a sweet Stampin' connection, and we got together and made some projects for y'all, and I think they are the best in the world. You know, not biased at all. Yes, in the world. But this month's was all coloring techniques, and mine are the baby wipe technique. So I think you guys are really gonna like them. Thank you, Marianne. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was really excited that it worked out after seeing my daughter's dress. So thank you again for joining. I'm gonna give you guys a quick peek again at these projects, and we'll call it good. So there's today's. Here, we'll just do that. How about that? There you go. So again, you've got the hostess code up here. Am I doing this right? Hostess code up here. You can also copy and paste from the description of the video, and the link to shop is in the video, and I will have the blog with all the dimensions and everything for you up here shortly. Thank you guys for joining. So grateful for you. Thank you again. Bye.